Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines and, most importantly, provide some actual insight into what a lot of this information means. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. I have this weekday live show, and I also do a twice-a-week long-form podcast that features only transportation professionals. At the end of the day, you guys, there's a lot of information out there, but we need to hear it from people who are active in this industry, who can actually explain to you what they do in real life situations. Because, 97% of this industry is small business. A lot of us have everything on the line, and we need to hear from people who actually are doing and can provide feedback into how they handle certain situations out there. You guys, at the end of the day, I just want to provide information that you can apply, utilize, and see a meaningful difference in your business, in your life. It's one of the many reasons why I proudly fly this American flag behind me every single day. Is not only are we the greatest nation on earth, but I'm living my American dream, and I want to help each and every one of you guys live your American dream as well. We got some interesting articles today. It's a solo show, so I'll do a lane breakdown analysis for you guys. We'll break down a few articles, and then we will jump in. Before we get into any of that stuff, though, you guys, I got to give a shout out to my friends over at VHub, vhubapp.com. Whether you're a broker, carrier, or a shipper, we all need access to trailers. And for my small fleets and my owner operators out there, you guys should never have to shut your operation down because you have a trailer in the shop. And the best part with what they have going on, you guys, you get paid to move these trailers. Yes, that is on top of the revenue that you can get by loading these trailers out, you guys. So what they're working on right now is they have Paragould, Arkansas to Orting, Washington. You get paid $15.50 to move that dry van. That's on top of the revenue that you can get by loading that trailer out with some freight. They also have Galt, California to Hutchins, Texas. You get $500 US to move that dry van. They have Winnipeg, Manitoba to Vaughan, Ontario. You get $500 Canadian to move that one. And then finally, they have Macomb, Mississippi to Brighton, Colorado. That's a flatbed that you get $1,600 to move that on top of the revenue that you can get by loading that trailer out. So hit them up, you guys, vhubapp.com. My friends Xavier Campos, Stacy Steen, and my man Zach Lonergan is in the audience as well, you guys. He's with VHub. If you guys do me a favor, hit him up. Let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. Just helps keep this neon light on out here, rising electric bills and all that fun stuff. Nerf. Dude, good to see you, man. The top, as far as I'm concerned, the only one in trucking when it comes to trucking news and breaking down articles regarding. Dude, I appreciate that, Nerf. Thank you so much. Those messages, seeing that stuff never gets old, man. I appreciate you, bro. Tracy O. St. Clair, good morning to you. Thanks for joining. April Maroney, what's up? Good fucking morning. Missed you as well. Let's get it. Whitney Young, good fucking morning. Orange Shirt Gang in the house. Whitney's watching over on YouTube. Zach, he says this is the #1 freight industry information show on earth to boot. I appreciate that, man. Nathan, what's up? Good morning. Nathan and Whitney are both watching over on YouTube. They both got that American flag rocking out in their comments. I love it. I love seeing it out there, you guys. This is, day 202 of the Freight Coach Tally. And for those of you who are new to turning in, I have an endless tally that's going on every time I go live because I continuously bring up actual issues that our drivers in this industry are faced with every single day, whether it be a lack of facilities, to use a shower or get access to food, stuff that we take for granted here, but yet our drivers are expected to deal with it without, saying anything out there on the road. So again, we're going to continue to bring this up, you guys, because I do not do this for vanity metrics. This is not about what I can gain from it, because if it was, I would take the extremely controversial route that some other people do and only talk about the negative side of things, because we're here to keep people in business. All right. We are here to keep people profitable in any freight market, because people are always making it in business, and we're here to put best practices out there. Diesel will be updated later today. I get this information from the EIA, you guys, and it's still, as last reported, at $4.54 a gallon. Nationwide, it's up 90 cents year over year. I'm anticipating that it'll probably be pretty similar, because, just out here in Arizona, it's kind of stayed the same over these last over this last breakdown over the last week here. So I'm assuming it's going to be pretty similar. And I haven't heard anything else different out there. All right. So also we do a lane, Xavier Campos. What's up? Good morning to you. He says, good morning, Freight Coach Nation. With this being a solo show, as you guys know, I do a lane breakdown. It's just random city to random city. Today, we are choosing a flatbed out of Kansas City, Kansas, going down to San Antonio, Texas. And this one is, we're going to pull a 90-day lane history on this one. So 90 days ago, it was at 232 with fuel. It spiked or jumped up to 239 at the 60-day mark. The 30-day mark saw another slight increase to 243. And it stabilized at, it's pretty much stayed the same there over the 15-day mark to 241. And then finally, as of the last 7 days, it has dropped down to the 233 mark. So if you're pricing this, to me, outside of the commoditized open deck freight, like the building materials and stuff where they're doing RFPs, if you're a broker or a shipper who's moving this lane, you should expect some consistent pricing to remain. I would hold firm on my rates out there if I were doing that as well. And then for my owner ops and drivers who are listening to this, if you're moving a similar lane to this, this is where you should be pricing your capacity, above it if you want. Again, this is just a baseline information of breaking this down. And to me, when I do this, it's showing you guys how to read a freight market. So based off of my 3 full truckloads that I've moved in the entirety of my career, I would feel fairly confident to keep this rate the exact same for probably the remainder of January, if not all of February, because the market has seemingly stabilized. And it is, if anything, my gut tells me it's going to only go up in due time this year, as we talked about yesterday. And we're going to be breaking down an article today that's going to go into that. But that's the rate breakdown for today, you guys. And now let's get into these articles. All the links to these articles, you guys, I put up over on the YouTube channel, as well as the Coffee with a Freight Coach audio only replay of this, which is on iTunes and Spotify. And if you guys go over to those other platforms, do me a favor, like, subscribe, share the show, rank the show on those platforms, because that's how this continues to grow and continues to reach more and more people every month. I'm so appreciative of the growth that this has shown. I never thought it was going to truly get this big, this fast, and it's only increasing in downloads. And that's because of each and every one of you guys who share this out there and get this out there to your guys' network, because if you see value in this, your network's going to see value in this as well. And that's how we're going to elevate this industry and continue to move this industry forward. Carla Isted, good morning. Thanks for joining, Carla. I got to get you back on the podcast. We need to talk soon. Teresa Lopez, good morning. Thank you for joining. All right. So the first article that we are going to break down is from my friends over at the JOC. And this is MPV rate slump as break bulk moves back to container sector. A winter slump is pulling average daily charter rates down from pandemic highs in the multi-purpose and heavy lift MPV-HL fleet as break bulkable cargoes return to the now cheap container segment. The MPV sector still anticipates a 2023 upsurge in energy-related and renewables cargoes. However, the TMI, the Topfer Multipurpose Index, forecasts a 10% slide in average daily charter rates from January to $15,900 per day, down from December, which was at $17,827. Let's see, predicts that the average rates will fall 1.69% in 6 months' time and would be down 4.5% from current levels in 12 months. And the TMI is down 23.83% from January's 2022 daily charter rate. Traditional break bulk demand has fallen off, putting pressure on time charter rates. According to their report, China's new COVID surge could also be holding back steel cargoes, hampering port congestion. Let me see, some industrial and project related cargoes have already been booked for third and fourth quarters of 2023. But there are only a limited non-project related cargoes out there. And then Drury forecasts mild downturn. The Drury Multipurpose Time Charter Index, which covers a broader slice of the MPV sector then TMI landed at $9,946 per day, which was a decline from November's $9,950. It is expected to slip another 5% or 0.5% that's out there. Again, so to me, a lot of this it's going to be interesting to see, because obviously with break bulk and imports of a lot of these raw materials, so this is heavy duty freight that's coming across. It's going to be interesting to see how this market is affected this year. When you're looking at the infrastructure bill that has come into play, and that is the promise of American steel, American concrete, American everything to rebuild our infrastructure. It's going to see how the imports are affected in these sectors of it. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, or if that is going to eventually be brought into play on there as well. Because if your customer is importing and they're not involved in the infrastructure awards or anything like that, this could help you see some stability, I feel like, in pricing your freight, because obviously this stuff comes in and needs to be loaded on truckloads. Obviously, they're not going to, for the most part, depending on where this stuff goes. I mean, because I've worked with some shippers in my past that have imported from the port, and they're not going to run a container 800 miles to their distribution center. So you got to load it up onto a flatbed or an open deck trailer and run that out there. So again, I think that it's, obviously we're back into the normal seasonality of what's going on. And this article primarily focused in on steel coils. So if you're moving steel coils, if your customer is an import, you're probably going to see pricing is going to change on that here. I'm not going to say in either direction, but pricing is going to change on that one. And that article, you guys, was from the JOC. MPV rates slump as break bulk moves back to container sector. All right. Now, let me see here. We got Julia. What's up, Julia? Thanks for joining in. I appreciate it. And let's see here. Second article we are going to break down is from FreightWaves. Let me see here. And this is high frequency truckload data suggests the freight market is stabilizing. Such a catchy headline, because high frequency truckload data is kind of not what I've been using over these last couple of months, but it's been more of, for me personally, it's been more of just the actual experience in the industry. A lot of the information we talk about here, a lot of the cues of how the market shifts and how the market performs doesn't really change. Like, the cues are all the same, and you can predict how this market is going to produce out there, and, again, like, I don't use any, it's just a lot of it is based off of the data that I have for my own brokerage inside of Freight Coach Logistics, as well as what we, I've done over my career. So again, you guys, there's a lot of this information that we're putting out here is to help you operate in these markets. This isn't a sales pitch to buy any any data or anything from me. I'm just trying to teach you guys how to do this. And, you could also say that, I might just start calling myself the high frequency data provider that doesn't have high frequency data. It's just based off of actual experience out there. Anyways, into this article here. Did the first quarter lull come early in November and December of 2022? For carriers, the first quarter is always the most difficult period in the annual freight calendar. When retailers clear their excess inventory, construction takes a pause for the frigid weather, and everything is gloomy and cold. The soft first quarter often follows a robust fourth quarter in which freight companies enjoy the annual peak season and make an outsized portion on their profits. Is it possible that winter came early this year? Did the freight winter start in November now we are experiencing an early thaw? Early freight data and channel checks would suggest the freight market could be stabilizing and clearer skies are ahead. Again, a certain freight morning show host who happens to wear an orange polo every single day has been talking about this since November and December, but I digress. Back to the article. Over the past week, we've spoken with numerous freight executives who have mentioned the first 2 weeks of the first quarter are shaping up better than expected. Granted, expectations were incredibly low after such a weak peak. Bet you those freight executives tune into this show as well, because I see the data on who's watching. Going into the quarter, executives we spoke with predicted a significant collapse in the freight in the fourth quarter, with a seasoned veteran executive, a large trucking technology firm, predicting that first quarter would be the worst in his 4-decade career. It was a fair bet considering how challenging the second half of 2022 was in the freight market. Truckload spot rates hit a low of $1.67 and have since bounced back to $1.98. Trucking tender volumes also suggest that the direst of predictions have not played out. Tender volumes on outbound tender volume index, an index that tracks volume of load requests from shippers to carriers, shows the volumes briefly dipped below 2019 and 2020 levels that have broken away from that baseline. In the first few weeks of the new year are in early omen, then the freight market may have bottomed in the fourth quarters, and carriers can look forward to a far less volatile market in 2023. I wonder if that means that there's not going to be a bloodbath then. Interested in being and then anyways, going on and talking about this, this was just a brief, little quip in there that, again, information that we've been talking about is what there's, to me, for at the end of last year performed kind of predictably on for the most part, because like when you're seeing inventory levels at a sky high, there is no need to rush shipments off the dock like there normally is in a normal holiday freight season that's out there. That didn't happen because inventory was at capacity. They had everything that they needed. So there wasn't any spike in volume that was going against it. Yes, spot market rates have dropped exponentially because the demand of it, like the loads never made it out to the spot market at all. It was only, because everybody was honoring their contract. Their contracts were playing exponentially higher than what any spot market rate could compete with. So what do you do in that situation? You're going to honor your contract. That is why contract tender rejections were so low. Why would you reject a tender that was paying $3.80 a mile if the spot market was at a $2 a mile or whatever that looks like? You're not going to do that anytime. But what happens with that? It's back to the old supply and demand. And again, I went to public school, you guys, but at the end of the day, you're going to reach that point, which we have. All right. And that came in the fact that so many people, when they bid their RFPs for this year, if you bid aggressive on and this is an annual RFP, you will see, and trust me when I say this, you guys, at some point this year, tender rejections are going to reach an all-time high. Because when you go off of extremely high contracted rates, and then for you to remain competitive and remain in the door, a lot of providers bid very, very low to gobble up market share to produce revenue. I think that has a direct correlation into how many layoffs have been happening out there, is because they're trying to protect and insulate themselves from what the first quarter is going to happen, because they know they bid low. And then eventually it's going to trickle up where people are going to reject those tenders because the spot market, you can make more money out there on that. And then the market is going to start ticking back up. It's all supply and demand. All right. I don't know when it's going to happen this year. I don't have any high frequency data in front of me, but generally speaking, in a normal freight market, which it's all signs are pointing to, we are back to how a normal freight market will perform. End of this Q1 is when produce season kicks in, and that's kind of the kickoff of the freight season out there. And then you're going to have a little bit of a lull, and then it's going to pick back up out there and get into holiday freight. You're going to see those peak seasons going on throughout this year. I think that in my honest opinion, if you are an owner operator right now, and we talked about this yesterday, and if you're building your book of business, you guys, like these first couple of months might be a little dire, but do not stop. Do not quit. All right. Because a lot of people are going to get frustrated and walk away from this market, but this market is very, very predictable on how it will be. I don't know how fast it's going to recover. I'm not going to sit up here and try and say by July or any of this stuff. All I'm saying is at some point this year, contracted rates will be below spot market. And then that rebound will start to happen. It's a normal cycle. It happens every 18 to 24 months outside of the 2020, 2021 years. But what didn't change outside of those years was how the market performed. Okay. So I want us to simply understand how this is going to work. You will see a lot of opportunity in new customer business coming up when this market starts to flip. because I always refer to these guys as Q1 All-Stars. All these Q1 All-Stars who are going to come in and bid super fucking aggressive in quarter one, and they're only fucking their customers over at the end of the day. They're screwing them over, and they're screwing the drivers over by playing this game. And what's going to happen is they're eventually going to get kicked out of the network. All right. Whatever shipper that they're working with, they're going to get kicked out because their service is going to be piss poor, and customers are not going to tolerate this. All right. So if you're out there and you're building your book of business, do not stop. All right. If you are a small fleet right now or an owner up, get that local business, get that local, own your backyard and get those direct contacts. And then again, not all brokers are bad. There are some solid brokers out there, Freight Coach Logistics, but we will be having consistent business that's out there because again, you guys, I'm not in this, like this isn't a fucking hobby to me. All right. This is how I feed my family. This is how I'm building my life. So this is how I'm honoring my family's legacy of being in the trucking industry for damn near 100 years at this point. All right. We are here and there will be so much opportunity this year. There will be so much opportunity because so many people are going to get frustrated and fucking quit. All right. Don't quit. That's my biggest piece of advice from this. Do not stop. Do not quit. It's not going to rebound overnight. But at some point this year, it's going to start and it's going to be clear as day. All right. So if you're looking to get those holiday upcharges, those holiday upcharges are going to be a thing this year. All right. And I think that, again, as a broker or as a carrier, if you're really, really committed to long-term partnerships, and I know that fucking term's thrown out there all the time, but if you're committed to that consistent business, there are brokers out there who has that consistent business for you day in and day out, and they want to work with you. I want to work with local carriers. I want to work with the same drivers time and time again, because at the end of the day, I've been doing this for way too fucking long to roll the dice on the spot market on every single load that comes out there when I can have a quality driver like a Whitney Young who tunes in here all the time, hauling my freight for me consistently. A mutually beneficial partnership. If you commit to these principles, you guys, and you adhere to this throughout this year, when we are back on this uptick of the market, which will happen at some point, might be later this year, might be in 2024. I don't know. I don't have a crystal fucking ball, and neither does anybody, because a lot of real shit can happen in that time. But the fact of the matter is if you are committed to the process, if you are committed to playing this out and eliminating these market shifts of, oh, I'm going to go get revenge or I'm going to go do this, and you commit to showing up and adding value to your customers every fucking day of the week, you will have more freight than you could ever imagine. And why people are going to argue that is because they've never actually fucking done it. They've only played the market. They've tried to roll the dice every fucking time. If you commit to this, I guarantee you, you will see a meaningful difference in your business. Anyways, that article, second article, freightwaves.com, high frequency truckload data suggests the freight market is stabilizing. A high frequency orange polo shirted guy with a morning show has also been saying that for a couple of months. But anyways, I digress. Dylan Turner, he says, wow, YouTube is so much smoother than LinkedIn. Sonny Sharma, good morning. Let's fucking go. Orange shirt gang in the house. Andre Stewart, happy Tuesday. Thanks for tuning in as always, Andre. Nathan says, but driver shortage. There's not a driver shortage. There's a retention issue. I will die on that hill. There is a retention issue, plain and simple. And if you're wondering why won't people work in the industry, tune into the beginning of my show or rewind it back to when I say we're at the day 202 of the Freight Coach tally. Nerf, he says, strictly a supply and demand type model for brokerage freight. Less trucks equals customer pay more, equals carrier gets more, equals my margin is larger, more trucks, equals customer pays less, equals customers closer to market value, equals customer equals my margin is less. Jesus, that was a long one, Nerf. But yes, Nathan, it says exactly, and themselves. Sonny Sharma says Zems Inc. is always looking for trustworthy carriers. Zems is one of the top quality brokerages that are out there, you guys. Andre Stewart says, you were speaking some truths, my friend. This is a commodity options concept, is applicable in almost all industry. Preach on, bro. Appreciate that, Andre. And Charles Richardson, good morning. Thanks for joining in. All right. Last article, which we got a couple of minutes left, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to break down all of it, but we're going to start on it. This is talking about the absolute what I would consider disaster policies that are implemented in the state of California. Freightwaves.com, California trucking, older engines off the road, and Department of Labor's Walsh talks unions. Shocker. California's trucking sector kicked off the New Year's with updated set of regulations and a visit from the Secretary of Labor, obviously with the AB 5 independent contractor law as a regulatory backdrop. The latest step that went into effect was a zero emissions vehicle by 2035. And no vehicles with an engine prior to 2010 could be on the road. The vehicle itself can be older as long as it has an upgraded engine. There are no signals from the market of a squeezing capacity that was going over out there, which is the latest graduated step that started by taking pre-1994 vehicles off the road. It talks about the outbound tender rejection. I don't understand, because like out west here, you guys, I don't know if I've lived in Nevada and Arizona, and I know they have this in California. We didn't have this in Wisconsin. Was your vehicle had to have a smog test every couple of years. So what I don't understand is the point of removing a truck that, as of December 31st of 2022, passed smog, was roadworthy in California, but then January 1st, if it was a 2009 engine model, they were kicked off the road. I do not understand it. All right. I do not understand why you would do that. Again, I think in alliance with AB 5, it is an absolute onslaught against independent contractors and small businesses out there in the state of California. I have not hid behind this, and I'm going to be honest. Again, they clearly hate small business in the state of California, and it's not going to get any better. It's only going to come further and further. But also, don't be surprised when you see that 2035 thing get kicked out to 2050 at some point, because they understand they are nowhere fucking near it from being a plausible thing. I think the state of California should focus on keeping its current power grid up and running and fully functional before we electrify the entire state that can't even support a fucking oven or an air conditioner right now. Anyways, going on. And then a second development that kicked off the new trucking year in California came with the visit of the Secretary of Labor, Marty Walsh, on a trip presumably driven by the fact that AB 5 will be in effect for a full year, barring a resolution of new injunction coming out of ongoing litigation. AB 5 went into effect statewide in 2020, but a court injunction kept it at bay in trucking. And then let me see, and well, obviously the stuff with the Supreme Court. We all know what AB 5 is. The Department of Labor released a statement about Walsh's visit to LA for what it was termed as a roundtable discussion that focused on the benefits of having a collective bargaining relationship between truck drivers and employees at the port. It did not mention AB 5. The statement also said the focus was on port trucking in industry with rampant misclassification of independent contractors. And then let me see here. AB 5 has since seen the inception of the start, yada, yada, yada. The pro-union forces have scored at least one significant AB 5 related victory. Its drayage operations in Southern California will be offering full-time employment to drivers, which will likely end any lack of compliance with AB 5. And at the meeting with their, according to the DOL, were two drivers, representatives of Universal, yada, yada, yada. Not every good paying job requires collective bargaining. Let me see here. The Harbor Trucking Association, which represents drayage companies in Southern California, was not invited to the meeting, according to the CEO, Matt Schrapp. Not every good paying job requires collective bargaining, Schrapp wrote in a LinkedIn post about the meeting and the reaction to that statement. It's unfortunate that when it comes to the Labor Department leaders, there is a single focused, one-sided discussion that dominates any dialogue regarding drayage drivers and what they do. There is more to the story than a misclassification narrative. Asked in an interview, Schrapp said that it may have looked a lot of fleets already have employee drivers. It's just a matter of expanding it. Let me see. There is a pathway for small business to remain as such, Schrapp said, referring to independent drayage drivers or smaller fleets that serve the ports are trying to stay in a way of an AB 5 world. But Schrapp said Walsh visit did not include discussion outside of this focus or misclassification. Operational challenges should be the story as a whole. Yeah, it's, again, I'm a fan of less government. We do not need the government to tell us what to do. You cannot punish the many to persecute the few who are actually doing this. Because again, the thing is, you guys, is it's starting here. It's not going to start here. I'm not going to go into my big AB5 soapbox, but I am vehemently against it. It is not. It's the most un-American fucking thing I've ever seen. Well, not the most un-American thing, but as of recent, it's the most un-American policy that I've seen in place to stop and prohibit small business from operating. I am 1000% against AB5, and then it's only going to work its way up to the federal level. And that's what they're going to come for next. And, again, if you don't like what you're seeing out here, call your local congressman. All right. Call your local congressman and voice your absolute displeasure or support. You can disagree with what I'm saying. I'm completely fine with that. We don't have to agree on everything. But again, if you don't like something about some of this legislation that they're talking about, call your local congressman and make your voice heard. All right. Remember, we the people, they work for us, not the other way around. That article from FreightWaves, California trucking older engines off the road. And that is it for today, you guys. Just to get caught up on some comments, Sonny Sharma says they are looking for LTL carriers for freight out of Texas and Cali, heading to all different parts. Patrick Provance said he's currently expanding his presence in Texas. Can start by getting him some quotes. Charles Richardson says, I have a lot of carriers, but they stay in Ohio, Michigan, Indiana. Brian Hagan put his contact information out there for your LTL and truckload needs. But that's it for today, you guys. The Freight Coach Morning Show. We went a little bit over on time. I try and keep it to 30 minutes every day, but sometimes I get a little passionate about what I'm talking about there. And but that's it for today, you guys. We'll be back tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central. I got a guest every day for the rest of the week. So yeah, we're just going to keep doing it. As always, you guys, if you saw value in what we talked about here, share the show. That's all I can ask from you guys at the end of the day, because if you guys see value in this, your network's going to see value in this as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.